Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sharing Our Stories, a podcast dedicated to promoting and highlighting the Indigenous Women's Entrepreneur Program here in Northern Manitoba. My name is Michelle Pruder, and I am your host. Today with me is Sandra Cook, an established Indigenous artist from Churchill who has been an entrepreneur for many years, creating and sharing her artwork with people from all over the world. Welcome, Sandra.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It's lovely to have you. So let's get right into it. And can you tell us a bit about yourself and your journey with your art and your business?
Okay, well, I came into artwork kind of late in life. I always knew I wanted to be an artist. I knew that was um the only thing I was good at, I think, at an early age. I didn't see any other path, but I walked away from it in my early adulthood, out of fear,
Okay.
anxiety. I felt I didn't have what it takes. Insecurities got the better of me,
Right.
and I took a different path. I worked in a few different fields for a while, raised my children, and it wasn't until probably just over 10 years ago or so that I realized I'm not confident yet. I still don't have the confidence, so I might as well jump in. And I
Hey.
jumped into artwork full with completely immersed myself into it. And very quickly it became my full-time job. Um,
Wow.
yeah, I think a person just gets to a point in their life where if you don't do what feeds your soul, it'll eat you up.
Right.
So I feel I'm following the right path, and yeah, so I guess I would call myself a novice when it comes to a lot of artwork. Sometimes I consider myself still I'm always learning. People ask me, are you educated or self-taught, or where did you go to school? I say I'm self-learning.
Oh, I
Um
love that.
there's so much to learn, and we're always learning. And I think as soon as you say I'm taught, that means you're done.
Right.
So yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm very fortunate to live in a place where there is a natural market here for artwork. I
Right.
live in a tourist town. My artwork is very nature inspired and locally inspired.
Mm.
So there is a natural market for it. Yet at the same time, I put my all into it, and I make sure that I deliver the best product I possibly can as well.
Right.
So I think that's a measure of the success that I've had. I think.
Mm. Yeah,
That answer your question?
it does.
I hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And oh, go ahead, sorry.
no, you go ahead.
Okay. My artwork is continually evolving as well. As I journey through my own maturity as a person,
Right.
and learn as I learn more about my Indigenous culture. I was denied it as a child. I'm a child of a residential school survivor. And as
Okay.
I open myself up and learn more and embrace the culture and the spirituality that goes along with it, my artwork has changed. And
Mm.
I'm very happy to follow that natural progression. So I believe there's an attitude of authenticity about what I do. That's a feedback I get from people, that it's very authentic. And I think that's very important to whatever you're marketing, make sure that it's from your heart. And
Mm.
I hope I carry that through in my work.
Right. I
Yeah,
can
I think
see
that's
that.
about all there is to me.
Well, and I've talked with other Indigenous artists and artists in general, and I kind of wonder about the challenge of, you know, you have a product that might be selling really well, like one certain sort of thing, and then you might have other things that aren't selling so well, and finding that balance between, yes, you want to make money, but at the same time, it needs to fill you up, right? Like you still want to be doing the things that you want as you're evolving as an artist. And it sounds like
Yes,
you've kind of, even though like you were talking about not having confidence before, it sounds like you're fairly confident now in
I'm
what
getting
you're
it.
choosing to focus on with your art.
Yeah. I think that it's an important thing to okay, there's a couple of things there that you mentioned I'd like to touch on. Like you said, finding that balance. And there's a lot of times that finances dictate what I create.
Right.
We do live in a natural market. Sometimes people want lower cost items.
Yes.
And they want polar bears. Sometimes, and I think it's important to draw on humor. That's inherent in our Indigenous culture is humor.
Mm-hmm.
And I will jokingly within my family and my close friends say that I make polar bears for profit,
Right.
right?
Right.
But it's feeding my family and it's
Right.
also feeding my soul. I love to paint polar bears. I don't get
Mm,
tired of it. Well, maybe at the end of bear season, I am tired of it for a little while, but it's a
right.
momentary thing, right?
Yeah.
So I'm still filling my soul and I'm moving on. Yeah, there are some items that people say, oh yeah, a few years back you were making this and that thing. Can you do it again? And I say, no, I can't.
Right.
I need to follow my own natural progression. Um, so you do find that balance somehow. Um, I will do a lot of what the market demands, but I'm
Right.
also doing something where I'm creating that demand as well with my newer work, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I'm creating that desire. So I'm feeding my soul at the same time. And we all need to eat, right?
Yes.
We have children to clothe, we have bills to pay. So you do find that balance somehow. But there's another thing that's really important is being able to give to the community too with your artwork. So
Mm,
when I say polar bears for profit, one of the things that I've started doing is, this past year I did it for the second year during bear season. I will create a bear, a polar bear painting, and I do a fun thing. It's almost an interactive thing. I have a lot of tour guides who will give me everybody wants it now. They want their photograph, a photograph that they've taken that I will use for photo reference, and I name the bear after them. So,
oh,
and then I
cute.
raffle it. Okay, now I've done this 2 years in a row and it's continuing. It looks like it's going to be an annual event where I raffle this painting. I do an online raffle
Right.
and that goes towards Christmas cheer, which is the elders, Christmas hampers for elders. So it's a giving back that feeds my soul. That makes every
Yes.
single polar bear that I painted for my own profit and my own gain during bear season worth it. If that makes
Yes.
sense, you have to find that balance somewhere. Because I want to give to my community. I want to take what I have and give as well. And I think
Yes.
it's an important thing as a business person and as a creator to be able to
Hmm.
give back,
Yeah.
because that's what we do. So that's where I find that balance is in that
Yes.
way. And then you mentioned the confidence. I'm still not confident. I have
Hmm.
anxiety every single time I make a painting, but I am confident that I'm going to get over the emotional flogging that I give myself, if that
Okay.
makes sense. I
Yes.
know I'm going to recover from it.
Yes.
So that's where my confidence lies.
That's
And people kind of like it.
interesting.
People will pay for it, so it's okay, I think. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. And now you have that
Yeah.
experience of knowing that, yes, this is an uncomfortable feeling,
Yeah,
but I will get through this uncomfortable feeling. There's another side to it.
exactly. And you will get through it. And the thing is that if something is uncomfortable and scary, it's probably something you need to do. And that's another thing
Hmm.
I've learned is jump in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah. Because is the
that's,
time ever really right? There's a saying I once read, like we all have heard of, ready, aim, fire. But this entrepreneur was saying, you ready, fire, and then aim, like correct, right? Like at some point, you just have to
Yes,
jump in and then go from there.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Because if you wait until you're ready, you're never going to be ready.
Yeah.
You just aren't. In some respects, I feel that I jumped in, that my business grew faster than I was ready for. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of areas I feel I fall short, and I scramble. I do a lot of scrambling. Um, I've had a few comeuppances where I did fail, and I've had to say, okay, I need to be honest, I'm not good at this type of thing.
Right.
And I have to concentrate in this other area, right? And you have to humble yourself and be able
Yes.
to say, yeah, I failed at that. Okay. So I really wasn't ready for that one. Right?
Right.
But
Right.
and take your losses and take them as a learning.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let it crush you and just move on to the next thing. And
Yes.
every time, every single time you have a success, that is where your confidence is going to lie with every small success. And they're small, they're really, really small things. But
Mm-hmm.
that's where your confidence comes from. And when at the time that you fail and you feel crushed, stop and count those other successes.
Yes.
And remember that,
Yeah,
right?
that
And
really
that's what I
helps.
do. Yeah. And at the same time, like I said, you need to stay humble. I keep a lot of my mistakes. I keep most of my mistakes. Um, behind every creative person will tell you this, but behind every success is probably 10 mistakes.
Yes,
And yeah, or anybody who's ever achieved anything will tell you that. And
for
my
sure.
mistakes are very visual. They're right there in front of your face. So I keep a lot of them because you don't want your arrogance to walk before you either. And there's
Mm,
always a risk when you do something creative, um, that praise that you get when you do something good, that praise can be very alluring and it can be
mm,
really dangerous because you like it, especially in the online world. That's so
right.
dangerous when you post, and it's important to have a social media presence. And,
Hmm.
then you start counting your likes and you think, oh, well, this painting got so many likes and this other one only got so many, so it must be trash. And, you can't do that kind of thing. And you can't
Right.
live for all the likes and praise. That's not a
Yes.
reason to create. So you have to be careful and watch that stuff and don't let your don't get arrogant as well.
Hmm.
So those are
Hmm.
things I watch for, because
Yeah.
you can easily slip into that thing.
Well, and I
Right?
love
I know I have, and it's embarrassing.
well, I love how you bring up strengths and weaknesses or failures, and I mean they really go hand in hand, right? Like we all have certain strengths, we all have certain weaknesses, and I've heard it before that rather than focus on developing those weaknesses into strengths, sometimes the best thing to do is just leave them alone and work on your strengths and get those strengths really strong. And I wonder what you think about that. And I'm thinking kind of in terms of, like, say, for example, in running a business, you might be very strong in the area of creating your artwork, but you might be weak in another area, like whether it's the marketing or the finances or whatever. And you can always bring in other people to that are strong in your areas of weakness, like having an accountant or a bookkeeper if money is kind of your weakness. What do you think about that concept of developing those strengths even more?
Honestly, I'm all for it. Um, I initially thought, and I know we've had this conversation, Michelle, where I felt down on myself that I can't do some things. I
Right.
know that the business end of my business um is petrifying to me. It will have me so tied up in knots at times that I can't function, I can't sleep, I can't do anything.
Right.
So outsourcing is a really good thing. And there's
Mm,
nothing wrong with being honest with yourself and seeing where your strengths lie. Some things you do need to work on, right?
Right, of
You do need
course.
to.
Yeah.
Um, but some things you don't, and even the most minor things. One of the things I hate more than anything is mindless work. Like I do a
Mm,
lot of printed material, okay, printed cards, and I put them in a set of 4 into a box. And
right.
folding those cards and getting them in the boxes. You know how many times I've mixed them up? I get it wrong. I
Right.
do things. And you know what? I realized that my husband and one of my friends really love that kind of stuff. They have folding parties. They get together, they totally exclude me, and I'm great with that. And they
Yeah.
fold the cards and they get them in boxes. They do it perfect, and they're
Yes.
happy to do that. I've outsourced that. And
Hmm.
I felt guilty at first. I thought, this is my business. I need to do this stuff. No, I don't.
That's right.
I can paint while they do that, right?
Yes.
And I can get somebody, I can ask for help with my books. I can ask
Hmm.
for help with my taxes. And you know what? I might pay a little bit to do that, but that's okay.
Right.
Because in the long run, I'm saving my sanity. I'm saving my
Hmm.
peace of mind. I'm saving my business,
Right.
right? I'm making things work.
Yes,
So there's nothing
absolutely.
wrong with that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Know what you're good at and do that,
Yeah, I love
if that
that.
makes sense.
Well, and it's that reminder that we're not just an island unto ourselves, right? Like we're part of families, we're part of communities. And, whether it's engaging with other people within your business, and outsourcing and bringing people in to help or giving back to your community. I love that you brought that up because one of the things that as I've traveled across the North and met with different women, and we talk about business, that always comes up that it's really not about them just doing this for themselves. It always comes up about their families. It always comes up about their communities and how can I help my community? And one of the ways that we can help is by being successful in our business.
Absolutely. Well,
Mm-hmm.
that's exactly it. And y- you're creating, especially for um creatives, right? What you're
Mm-hmm.
making in your community. If you're going to make a business out of your creativity, you're increasing the vibrancy of your own community. You're making
Yes.
everybody else look better,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And I encourage anybody who, and I like to build up and support other creatives within my community. Because if there's just me, if I'm the only art business in this community, I'm really going to stand out. Yes, but we're not going to be known as an artist community. If there's 2 artists, if there's 3, if there's 4, we're going to be stronger
Mm-hmm.
together. And then we're going to, it's like a shopping mall. People are going to want to come here for
Right.
art.
Yes.
So it's going to increase my success rate. It's going to increase everybody if we're all building each other and
Yeah.
sharing that together, right? So that's another thing that we need to do. I know I'm probably going off on a different tangent here,
No,
but
this is good.
if we be the best we can be at our own business and then help other people to shine as well,
Yeah,
we all win, if
that's
that
right.
makes sense. Like we win together. And that's why like Churchill has the Churchill Creative Collective. Um,
Mm,
and we do help each other. We're creatives. We're not all business people. Some are just are hobbyists, but quite a
right.
few of the people, the members are businesses, they're small businesses, and we help each other
Yes.
out and give ideas and share materials, and it's an important thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, so and success is one of the best ways we can help. And
Yes.
okay, and to the family as well. I have 2 children and a husband.
Right.
He's there too. But 2 children, one 20 years old and 14.
Okay.
Okay. Now they've watched me develop my business. They've watched me find that balance. So just by them watching me do this and push myself into uncomfortable places and succeed and and understand and watching me cope with my failures as well. I'm modeling something really special to them as
Absolutely.
well, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, so in a way, it's providing a mentorship without ever doing anything other than doing my own business
Yeah, that's
and doing the
right.
best I can at it,
That's right.
right?
Yes.
So you're giving that gift as well, if that makes
Hmm.
sense.
So, Sandra, you mentioned how, you're actually mentoring your children without really specifically trying to mentor them. It's just unfolding naturally. Is there anyone who has been your mentor or that has kind of given you that extra help? I know you mentioned about the Churchill Collective being a group of support, but I'm just wondering if you've had any other mentors that you've looked up to,
Business wise,
or art wise, or like what
yeah,
has helped you find your way?
I struggle with that one because there's so many small bits. Like life happens in tiny moments. I can't say there's
Mm,
any one person who stands out, but
yeah.
so many people who've crossed my path in at different times have
Mm-hmm.
given me that one little thing. Um, oh, she's not here anymore, but I have to say my mom, for one,
Right.
um, forged ahead over so many obstacles. And that's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
She gave me grit. And I think grit is a really, really important thing to have. This is, and also a willingness to, as she always said, if you can't get in the front door, go around the back. Right?
Okay.
Persistency and just, if don't take no for an answer. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of person she was. And I think that's really important to do that. If you want to do something, um, she gave me that. She really did.
Right.
And she didn't have her own business, but she created a life, if that
Yes.
makes sense.
Yes.
And I think you really need that in a business to
Mm-hmm.
have a flexibility of thinking. And I get really frustrated when people take no for an answer. Take the first no. I'll be okay after about the third or fourth no. Then I'll go, okay, we're gonna have to do something else. If that makes
Right.
sense. And
Yeah.
that's a thing my mom taught me.
Yes.
Um, yeah, there's a few other businesses here in town. Um, Dave Daly from Wapask Adventures, or
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Adventures. Yeah. Um, he's somebody who's being a mentor to me in a way. Again, just modeling, just watching him grow his
Mm-hmm.
business.
Mm-hmm.
I knew him when he was just yapping about wanting dog sleds, wanting to run
Okay.
dogs, and he was
Yeah.
just talking about it. Okay, and I thought, oh, Dave, you're always yapping about that. Next thing you know, he's got the most successful dog sledding business in the community, right?
Wow.
Um, and he shares. He shares. He's an open book. He builds people
Right.
up. If he didn't hound me about making use of available financial options, I wouldn't have my studio.
Okay.
Okay. So
Yes.
he's willing to push. And sometimes I need that push because I'll sit there going, oh, I don't know what to do. Right.
Right.
So having somebody who will push you, and he irritates me.
Yeah.
So sometimes a person who irritates you is a good thing. Dave won't mind me saying that.
Well, and
We've been
I love
irritating
that
each
you
other
you
since
brought
we were
up
little.
that that it hasn't just been one particular person who has helped shape you,
No,
or
no,
and it makes me think of kind of having a flashlight in front of us as we're walking through the dark, and just being able to see far enough ahead to take that next step, and that then we'll know what to do there, and then we take the next step and we'll know what to do there. And I kind of see entrepreneurship as that, like we don't know everything when we start
no.
out, and we just kind of have to trust the process. I mean, try to prepare as much as you can and before jumping in, but just trusting that process and trusting that the right people will cross your path, or that you'll find those mentors or those helps and influences along the way.
And they're always there. That's another thing, is that there's so many people who are there and ready and eager to help you. And
Mm-hmm.
all you have to do is ask and
Yes.
open yourself to it, and don't see it as a criticism if somebody offers advice.
Yes.
So you are going to get a whole lot of advice.
Yeah.
Just take what you need. See it all as help, and take the help
Mm-hmm.
you need
Yes.
instead of
Yeah.
shunning it.
Yeah.
And when I first started out, I had walls up, I had barriers. I was afraid to ask because
Mm-hmm.
I was afraid to look stupid.
Right.
I was afraid of judgment.
Yes.
And I kind of lost that fear. And I find that
Mm.
the more you open yourself up and the more you humble yourself, the more help you get. And the less
Yes.
judgment you get. You realize nobody's actually judging you because we're all scared. Everybody is,
Yeah. Yeah.
if that makes sense. We're all
Yes.
scared of something,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I've also noticed and this happened to me recently as well, is somebody who you might think is an enemy can be an ally. Embrace
Mm.
that, especially if you're from a small community and these are people you've grown up with all of your life.
Right.
And we grow up in a box of other people's definition of us, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you can live within that box, or you can open the lid and
Yes.
understand that other people might want to step out of their boxes too. Somebody you might never have seen as an ally can suddenly be one. Okay? Because
Right.
if you can grow and change, that person that you think you know has been growing and changing as well, and they can be your ally, and embrace that,
Yes.
right? And
Yeah.
it's like I'm a minute away from 60, and this just recently happened to me. Somebody who I thought was not somebody I would ever be in my life is suddenly somebody I'm going to, and
Wow.
I'm seeking their advice and their help,
Yes.
right?
Oh, I
So
love
always stay
that.
open to that. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so then what I did then is I took that lesson home to my kids and I told them, hey, guess what? And they went, no, really? That one person? Yes. Form opinions, have those opinions, but always make them subject to change,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
important.
And I think that's a
Wow.
really important thing to remember in a small town. Like, we close ourselves off into these little boxes. Open up that lid. Dare
Hmm.
to be somebody else and allow other people to be somebody else too. Allow
Yes.
people to grow.
That's great
Yeah. And take
advice.
help wherever you're going to get it.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, Sandra, this has just been wonderful talking to you. Like, you are
I hope
just
so.
so full of wisdom and good advice. And I know you might not think so, but my last question, I always ask at the end of the interview, what advice do you have for other women? And I guess I would say, what would be your top, your top piece of advice for other women who are perhaps just thinking about starting a business, or maybe they've already launched a business but they're still quite new to the idea of entrepreneurship? Is there something that stands out to you as kind of your final words of advice to us?
Oh, Lordy. Oh, Lordy, Lordy, Lordy. Okay, well, you know what? Take up the space. Women
Mm-hmm.
apologize for themselves over and over and over again all the time. And um like, okay, at the beginning of this, the way you introduced me as an established artist, I almost said,
Mm-hmm.
wait, 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 no, I'm not that. But wait, no, I am. I
Right.
am. I'm taking that space. Own
Yes.
it. Own your successes. Don't be
Mm-hmm.
afraid. Take up space. Be proud of what you've achieved and what you will achieve. Because that will throw your shoulders back. That will give you that confidence if you
Yes.
take up that space. Don't be afraid. Yeah. Don't apologize for being yourself. If that
Wow.
helps, does that?
That helps. I love that. And
Good.
Sandra, thank you so much for taking the time today to speak with me and to speak to other women here in Northern Manitoba.
Thanks, Michelle, for what you're doing. This means a lot. Thank you.
Bye. To learn more about the Indigenous Women's Entrepreneur Program or any other business services that Community Futures offers, visit our website at northcentraldevelopment.ca.